Welcome to Project Marlin. So it's a video I've been wanting to do for a couple of years, but things have just got in the way and it's not happened. I'm going to see today if we can get it to start. So up in the cab end, obviously there's no cab. I've taped up all of the electrical connectors that I can find at the front end that might possibly be live when we turn the power on. Shouldn't be, because there's just one big positive cable runs to the front and then feeds everything, and that's disconnected and wrapped up. So up in the back here we've got 4 fully charged batteries in. I did turn this thing over I think last year by hand, but in a minute I'm going to work out which of the solenoids up behind here. There's an electrical panel. I'm going to find out which of the relays on there is the one that winds the starter, and I'm going to try and bump her over. I'm not worried about it starting because there's the one-way valve in the fuel system is knackered, so it bleeds the fuel back, so it takes quite a while to get fuel up. I did fix the primer about 2 years ago when I was planning to get it started again. So hopefully the primer will be working. If not, I do have a new one I can go and get to put on. So I'll try just see if we can get full revolution out of her on the back off the batteries, just to make sure she's free. Then I'm going to have a look, make sure the rack isn't stuck. So I'll bring you back in a minute once I'm up there and I found out what connection I need. So this is the electrical panel I was on about. I thought it might have been this one, but I think it's actually this one. Now I'm going to test it. I've got one of these. If you haven't seen one of these before, they're brilliant. You connect it to the battery, so it comes live. You can do your usual sort of testing, poke it on there. That's saying I've got 25 volts, which is great. On the other side, it's gone green, different noise. That says I've got earth. So yeah, you've probably seen these before. Well, you might have seen these ones before anyway. But I've got a switch on here and I can change the polarity of the tip. So if I put that on there, let's see. Whoop, there we go. That is the starter one. So we know that's definitely the starter. I'm going to clip this on here and use this one, because the power probes are a bit sensitive at times. I've blown a few up over the years. And then I'm going to move you, so hopefully you're going to be able to see the fan. Oh, you're on a strong magnet. So not a very good shot, bit boring, but you can see the fan. Let's see if we can get a decent turnover. I'd better move that strap before we actually try and start it properly. But oh, I can actually smell a bit of fuel. Yeah, that's good. I'm quite excited about that. Right, I'm going to check the governor and things. I'll come back when I've done that, or if I pull the rockers off, which I might have to do. It might be quite difficult on this truck. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, so I'll move you up on top. Basically you should be able to see the smoke and you'll hear it going. I've got a strap on the stop so I can pull it without having to climb right down. It seems to be moving alright. I've loosened a fitting on the fuel pipe, so if it does start running away I can whip that out and it will start sucking air into the fuel system, so it shouldn't run for too long. I've primed the fuel system. And I'll be honest, I don't think there's enough going in the batteries to start it anyway, but we'll see what happens. I've got really I'm talking about that spanner. Put that spanner in that pocket, I know where it is. I need to film this on my phone as well. Hopefully this is all gonna not go wrong. Alright, let's try. Right. Well, yeah, that was quite good. So wow, I didn't expect that. I was convinced, and I was quite panicky that she was either, well, to start with, I'll be honest with you, sitting for 5 years, I thought the old bugger might be seized, bearing in mind the condition of everything else on the truck. When it wasn't seized, when it turned over fully, I was quite happy. It was never a good starter, but I did work out that was because it was fuel draining back to the tank. So like, once it'd been running, touch of the button, away she went. But first start was always difficult. Always a lot of cranking, and sometimes the batteries, on a cold day, the batteries wouldn't hold out long enough. So it's not a cold day today, but I still wasn't sure, because it's been sat, and I thought, well, I did prepare that primer, but I didn't know if it'd still be working, because that was, I don't know, if you look back through some of the videos, it's quite a few videos ago, I came up and did the primer on it. I was half expecting it to either fight to start, or the batteries go flat, or it would fire up in a couple of smoke like hell. It did smoke, this is a Detroit, it's been sat, but it didn't smoke that much. I was expecting plumes of smoke. And the fact that she just picked up and ran, a little bit lumpy. I don't think she was on all 12 all of the time, but I've had that before where it's been sat, and it'll fire up on, especially on a cold day. Like today isn't cold, but I've had it before where she'll fire up on 10 or 11, and after a minute it'll pick up to 12. Sometimes quite frighteningly. I had it once when she was idling. I thought it was running all right because I didn't know the sound of the truck very well. And all of a sudden she went, and then settled, but that was the last couple of injectors picking up. But today it just smoothed out. So I thought this would be a longer video. I was planning to do, I still want to do more on the truck. I want to start trying to clean down some of the metal work that is savable and get some red oxide on it. Now I know it starts, it's been putting me off coming up here and doing things really, because I thought, well, if the engine's no good, it's not worth doing anything. And to be honest, I expected the engine to be no good, so I didn't want to come up and find out. But needed to get it done this year. the truck is going to have to move from where it's parked today at some point. Whether that moves here on the same site or we need to go somewhere else or find another site for it, I don't know. But I am also considering that it might be better to pass it on to somebody who has got more resources to get it back up and running. I realise I've made it a lot less desirable to people because I've stripped the cab out. Although this cab would have to be stripped out, whatever. That floor in there is so badly gone. You couldn't do it with the cab all in. Makes it harder to move, but I do think if I really needed to, I could get the gearbox, the steering back in and the gearbox back in, and make it movable under its own power to get out from where it is. But if not, I'll just put it. I'm not saying I'm selling it. I'm just saying I'm thinking about it. So yeah, knowing if it was running or not was quite important for that. But also knowing it is running is, well, if I get on and do the cab, and even if I don't get the proper flooring back in for now, if I get it back and I can start working on the wiring again and getting the wiring back in, can move under its own power, we can start getting the lights working, we can start getting the electro-hydraulics working again. If she can move around the yard under her own power, we might be able to get some water in her and launch some water across the yard again, like we did in, well, you won't see, if you only follow my videos, or these videos, or you've found these videos, you won't have seen it. But again, Lawrence from Extreme Garage, who unfortunately isn't doing videos anymore, he did a video on this, and we did get a bit of water out of the water cannon, but not a lot. I'm just being nosy because... And at that point, I went on to a complete ramble for about 10-15 minutes about rail traction and the engines in UK rail. So I'm going to save you from that. I did talk briefly about the fact that I was thinking about the possibility of selling the Marlin. Quite frankly, that is still, as far as I'm concerned, a last resort. It might be that that's something that does have to happen, but I'm still hoping very much that that doesn't. So I just thought I'd clear that up. You're not going to see it advertised next week. That's for certain, and it will only be if the very worst comes to the worst with my ability to either keep her in her current storage or find suitable other storage should I have to move. And by no means have I been told I have to move. It needs to move from the location it's in, because it's sat in the middle of an area that is planned to be tidied up, and once it's tidied up, the Marlin will be completely in the way where she's parked. So there's been talk about moving her over. It would be nice if I could find somewhere to keep her under cover, but again, it's probably cost prohibitive. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm genuinely sorry that it's taken so long to do a video where actually something has been done on the truck, and I was so pleased that she fired up. That's a noise I've not heard in probably 5 years. It was brilliant. But right, we will see you in the next video, and I'll see you all soon.